Hey viewers, welcome to African Tales by Affy. Please kindly click the subscribe button to get notified for more amazing stories. In the village of Osub, there was a girl unlike any other. Her name was Tiga, and she was born with eyes that glowed like the moon. When she was happy, they sparkled like the stars, but when she was sad or angry, they shone with an eerie golden light. At first, her parents, Mr. and Mrs. F, thought it was a blessing. "Our daughter is special," her mother would say, cradling Tiga in her arms. But as Tiga grew older, the villagers began to fear her. "Her eyes are unnatural," whispered the women at the market. "She brings bad luck," murmured the elders. So, to protect her, her parents kept her hidden from the world. She watched life pass by from her bedroom window, longing to be part of it. One evening, while staring out at the village square, she noticed a boy her age sitting under a mango tree. He had a kind face and an easy smile. His name was Ima. He caught her staring and waved. Embarrassed, she ducked behind the curtain. But the next evening, he was there again. And the next. "Why do you always sit there?" she finally asked from her window one night. Ima grinned. "Because I like to think. And sometimes, I wonder about the girl in the window." Tiga hesitated, then asked, "What do you wonder?" He leaned forward. "Why she never comes outside." She sighed. "Because the village thinks I'm cursed." Ima frowned. "That's silly. Curses aren't real." Tiga wanted to believe him, but deep down, she wasn't sure. Still, night after night, they talked. She told him about the books she read and the stories she imagined. He told her about the games the village children played and the jokes the elders told. Slowly, she felt less alone. But one night, everything changed. "I want to show you something," she whispered. Ima's eyes widened. "Really?" Heart pounding, she stepped into the moonlight and took off her scarf, letting him see her eyes fully for the first time. His breath caught. "They're beautiful." She smiled, hope blooming in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, she had found someone who could accept her. But then, a shiver ran down her spine. A strange, warm sensation filled her body. Her fingers tingled. Her skin felt strange. And then, it happened. Her arms twisted, her legs merged, her skin shimmered. Before she could stop it, she had transformed into something else entirely, a great, golden serpent. Ima gasped in horror. "Tiga!" She reached for him, but he stumbled back. Fear filled his eyes. You're a monster." Tiga's heart shattered. "No, Ima, please." But he had already turned and run, disappearing into the night. Tiga collapsed to the ground, her golden scales reflecting the moonlight. For the first time in her life, she wished she could disappear. Tiga, a young woman with a mysterious past and snake-like eyes, lived a life of isolation due to her unique condition, which caused her eyes to glow with emotion. Despite her charm and success, she was feared by others, leaving her parents to keep her sheltered from the world. One day, she met Ima, a boy who saw beyond her appearance and accepted her for who she was. Their the lives of her parents, leaving Tiga alone and filled with guilt. In the hospital, a nurse named Soso recognized Tiga's condition and offered to help her manage her emotions, teaching her techniques to control her transformations. As she recovered, Tiga built a successful career but remained emotionally distant, using sunglasses as a shield against the world. Years later, Ima re-entered her life, determined to reconnect despite her attempts to push him away. He sent her thoughtful gifts and messages, gradually breaking down the walls she had built around her heart. Eventually, Tiga succumbed to his persistence, and they began dating, with Ima helping her rediscover joy and love. Their relationship deepened, culminating in marriage, but on their wedding night, Tiga felt the transformation threatening to take over again. Instead of fleeing, Ima embraced her, declaring his love for all of her, which reversed the curse that had haunted her for so long. After that transformative night, Tiga returned to her human form, her eyes finally reflecting their natural color. The couple chose to keep the details of that night private, focusing instead on building a life filled with ordinary moments. Their days were marked by simple pleasures like sharing morning coffee, running weekend errands, enjoying movie nights, and navigating the small disagreements that come with any relationship, such as whose turn it was to wash the dishes. Ima often playfully reminded Tiga of the long journey it took for her to accept his love, teasing her about her initial reluctance. Tiga would respond with a smile, acknowledging her stubbornness as a blessing that ultimately led to their happiness. Their love story became a testament to the idea that true love can break even the strongest of curses, and they found joy in the mundane aspects of life together. The narrative concluded with a hopeful message about the enduring power of love, encouraging others to embrace their own experiences of love and connection. Tiga walked into school the next day as if all eyes were on her. She kept her sunglasses on, hoping that if she stayed quiet, the other students would lose interest in their whispers about her. But the moment she sat at her desk, Soso leaned over with a mischievous smile. "Hey, I brought something for you," she said, pulling a small box from her bag. Tiga hesitated before taking it. "What is it?" Soso grinned. "Just open it." With curious fingers, Tiga lifted the lid and gasped. Inside was a beautiful silk scarf, its color a blend of deep blue and gold, matching her eyes. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "I thought you might like it," Soso said. "If you don't want to wear glasses all the time, maybe you can use this instead." For the first time in a long while, Tiga felt warmth spread through her chest. Maybe, just maybe, she had found a friend after all. Days passed, and Tiga and Soso became inseparable. They spent their lunch breaks together, whispering secrets and laughing over silly jokes. For the first time in a long while, Tiga felt like she belonged. One afternoon, as they walked home from school, Soso glanced at Tiga and asked, "Do you trust me?" Tiga hesitated but then nodded. "Yes." "Why?" Soso took a deep breath. "Then show me your eyes. I want to see them." Tiga's heart pounded. "What if you get scared?" she whispered. Soso smiled gently. "I won't." With trembling hands, Tiga removed her sunglasses. The golden glow of her eyes shone in the fading sunlight. She braced herself for fear, for rejection, but Soso stars in the night sky. Tika let out a breath she didn't realize she had been holding. You really think so? So nodded. Tika, you are special. Never let anyone make you feel otherwise. Tika felt a lump form in her throat. She had spent her whole life being afraid of her differences. But in that moment, with Soso by her side, she began to believe that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't a monster after all. As they walked home, hand in hand, Tika felt something shift deep within her. She had found a friend, someone who saw her not as something to be feared, but as someone to be cherished. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid to be seen. The days that followed were some of the happiest Tika had ever known. With Soso by her side, she felt lighter, as though the burden of her secret had become easier to carry. But deep down, she knew that happiness never lasted forever. One afternoon, as they sat under the mango tree outside school, Soso turned to Tika with a determined look. I think we should go to the festival together. Tika's heart clenched. The festival was a huge event, filled with dancing, music, and most of all, people. Crowds of people. People who would stare. People who would whisper. People who might see her eyes. I don't know, Soso, Tika said hesitantly. It's too risky. Soso crossed her arms. You can't hide forever. You deserve to enjoy life just like everyone else. Tika sighed, conflicted. She wanted to believe Soso was right, but fear had been her companion for so long that she wasn't sure how to live without it. The night of the festival arrived, and Tika found herself staring at her reflection. She wore a flowing golden dress that shimmered under the light, her silk scarf wrapped neatly around her head. Her hands trembled as she adjusted it. Was she really doing this? A knock at the door startled her. Soso's voice called. Taking a deep breath, Tika opened the door. Soso's eyes widened in admiration. Tika smiled, her nerves settling just a little. Let's go before I change my mind. The village square was alive with colors, laughter, and the scent of roasted corn and spiced meat. Tika clung to Soso's hand, her heart pounding as they weaved through the crowd. Then, it happened. A gust of wind blew past them, catching the edge of Tika's scarf and pulling it away before she could react. Gasps echoed around her as her golden eyes shimmered under the festival lights. Whispers began. People backed away. A mother pulled her child close. Tika, Soso whispered urgently. Don't run. But panic overtook her. Tears stung her eyes as she turned and fled through the crowd. She ran past the lanterns, past the food stalls, past the laughter that had turned into murmurs of fear. She didn't stop until she reached the quiet edge of the river. She sank to her knees, her body shaking. Why did I come? She whispered bitterly. I should have known this would happen. A hand touched her shoulder. Because you were brave. Tika turned to see Soso kneeling beside her. Brave? She scoffed. I ran away. Soso shook her head. No, you faced your fear. Even for just a moment, you stepped into the world. And look, didn't disappear. The world didn't end. Tiga sniffed. They were afraid of me. They don't understand you yet, So said gently. But they will, if you let them. Tiga stared at her glowing reflection in the water. Maybe So was right. Maybe the only way to stop being afraid was to stop living. She took a deep breath. Okay, let's go back. So grinned, squeezing her hand. Now that's the Tiga. As they walked back toward the festival, Tiga felt something different. A small spark of courage, flickering like a flame in the dark. And this time, she wouldn't let it go out. The next morning, Tiga woke up feeling different. Lighter. Stronger. The memory of the festival still lingered, but instead of fear, she felt something else, hope. She stepped outside, the sun warming her skin as she made her way to school. She knew people would stare. She knew there would be whispers. But she also knew she was done hiding. As she walked through the school gates, the chatter around her grew louder. Some students pointed, others whispered behind their hands. Tiga kept her head high. Then, to her surprise, So appeared beside her, flashing a confident smile. "You've got this," So said, slipping her hand into Tiga's. Tiga exhaled and took the final steps toward her classroom. As she entered, the room fell silent. For a moment, she hesitated. But then she remembered So's words. She remembered the reflection in the river. And she chose to keep going. The teacher cleared her throat. "Class, take your seats." Slowly, the other students returned to their work, though curious glances still came her way. Then, something unexpected happened. A boy from the back of the room raised his hand. "Hey, Tiga?" She turned cautiously. "Yes?" He hesitated before grinning. That was really cool at the festival. Murmurs of agreement filled the room. A girl in the front row nodded. "Yeah. I mean, it was surprising, but you're still Tiga." A slow smile spread across Tiga's face. She hadn't expected acceptance, not so soon. But maybe, just maybe, people could change. Days passed, and little by little, Tiga became part of the world she once knew. Some students were still rude, but many were kind, curious rather than afraid. She no longer flinched when people looked at her. She no longer hid behind scarves and sunglasses. For the first time in her life, she felt free. One afternoon, as she and So sat under their mango tree, Tiga let out a deep breath. "I never thought I could be happy like this." So smiled. "You were always meant to be happy, Tiga. You just needed to see it for yourself." Tiga leaned back against the tree, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face. She had spent so long fearing who she was, but now, she understood. She wasn't a curse. She wasn't something to be hidden. She was simply herself. And that was enough. Moral lesson: true acceptance begins with embracing who you are. Fear and misunderstanding can only be overcome when we choose courage over hiding and let the world see us as we truly are. Hello tribe, hope we enjoyed today's story. Please kindly put what you've learned in the comments section. Please remember to hit the like button, share this to your friends and family as well as subscribe to see you on the next one. Bye.